Before I start with this video, I would like to say please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. What's up? What's popping? This is another Generations The Legacy review of last night's episode. So please stay tuned and find out what exactly happened. So I'll start with Spare and Yellow's characters. On last night's episode, both of these characters decided to report the crime that was committed at the hospital to the police. When they got there, Bella questioned them and asked them if they can think of anyone who could have done it, and they both said no. Spare did mention that it can't be Liolo because he was with her all day. While Spare was being questioned, she asked Bella if he could have some police protection available at the hospital because of the incident that happened to Cosmo. She even revealed the name of the attacker, which was Kosi. Bella was so surprised when he heard Spare saying Kosi's name. So I'd like to move on to Jara and Paul's characters. So on last night's episode, they decided to try their luck with Maraxa to see if he could sell the African beer. I mean, these boys do not give up. One thing they forgot to mention to Maraxa is that they tried with Lucy but failed. To my surprise, Maraxa agreed to the offer. Now let's talk about Nonta's character. After she told her mom about the possibility of her being interested in girls, the next day Ayanda wanted to talk to her about it, but Nonta was not having it because she thought her mom was about to lecture her. But it was totally the opposite. Ayanda just wanted to let her daughter know that she supports her no matter what. As long as she's happy, then she's happy with it. Though it took her by surprise, she's okay and loves her daughter regardless. Now I would like to focus on Lucy's character. On last night's episode, she went to check on her brother's condition, and when she got there with her husband, Mrexa, they found Dr. Liolo, who had some disturbing news for them. To be honest, they were not prepared for what Liolo had to say. Speaking of Cosmo, his condition has worsened. He's currently suffering from a staph infection which has caused blood poisoning and has spread to his vital organs, including his heart. The only way they can save his life is to operate on him, or else he's going to suffer organ failure. But the problem is Cosmo is still on the waiting list, and he has 50-50 chance of surviving or dying. Does this mean the character Thembinkosi Diale is leaving the show? I honestly don't know, but we'll find out on tonight's episode. Now, I'd like to touch on a character that has been reoccurring on our screens. He's known as the Minister of Correctional Services. He had an interview on last night's episode about the prisoners going on hunger strike until their demands were met. To be honest, he looked like he had nothing better to say about it, and Nuntle looked like she enjoyed watching every moment of that interview. Going back to the character Lucy, she bumped into Spare after seeing Cosmo, and she wanted to double-check what Liolo had to say about her brother. Then Spare mentioned that the new antibiotics that she planned to use on Cosmo were stolen. That's when Lucy opened her mouth and snitched on Kunkane and told Spare that her friend Kunkane is the one responsible for the stolen medication. And Spare could not believe what Lucy had to say. Spare confronted Kunkane about him stealing the medication at the hospital. She even went on to call him a greedy bastard in public. Kunkane asked her to keep her voice down, but she couldn't care less about that. She mentioned to Kunkane that she would report him if he doesn't stop it. Going back to the character Lucy. When Lucy and Maraxa got home, Lucy looked so distraught about her brother's condition, and the thought of him dying has made her so emotional, she's even thinking about selling sculpting to send him back to the private hospital. Moving from that, I would like to focus once again on Nontet's character. She is still glad that the prisoners are fighting for their rights. She even made a video message showing the prisoners some support. I would like to touch on the characters Jara and Mpo once again. As I mentioned earlier in this video, Marexa agreed to sell the African beer, but Mpo and Jara tried to rip off Marexa, but didn't work because he realized that these two boys did not have the license to sell the African beer that they offer. On last night's episode, we got to see Maji's character when he went to see Machizo at the office. That's when he bumped into Spare. And Machizo asked him if he was going to come to Spare's event. To be honest, Maji couldn't care less about Spare's event at the hospital, which she was going to be a part of, as she refused to go and show support. It's a shame that he has no love for Spare anymore. Anyways, we'll see what happens on tonight's episode. Moving from Spare and Mazwi, I'd like to focus on the scene where Palisa actually fainted. It looks like she fainted after she refused to eat her food and she was sent to the medical bay. We'll see what happens on tonight's episode. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. I touched on Spare's event at the hospital earlier in this video. On last night's episode, the Morocco Foundation decided to donate 100,000 rands to that public hospital. And I feel like what Machizo and Spare are doing to support that hospital is such a beautiful thing to see, because we all know how hard that hospital has been suffering since Spare has been volunteering at the hospital. Speaking of Spare, let's focus on the speech that she gave last night. I feel like when she was speaking to the media and the journalists, she was actually referring to Kunkani indirectly, because the way she was looking at him in the audience, she was really actually talking to Kunkani directly while she's addressing the public and the audience. And I think what she said was actually important for Kunkani to hear, because he looked pretty impressed when he heard Spare talking at that event. We'll see what happens on tonight's episode. That's it for today. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Peace. I'm out.